Hello and welcome to the long run. A little bit different this week. We are in the midst of school holidays, so we're away. So we are doing a chat about the London Marathon. All your questions, we've got plenty of questions, haven't we, Chris, from our viewers and listeners?
Yeah.
And we thought it's a good opportunity to wade through those and have a general chat about the London Marathon because it's not too far away now.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously people have got lots of inquiries to make, or they want to know what's going to go on, what to expect and sort of thing. So we're going to tap the brains of Chris Ford, Question Master Alan, who's been given a week off from his lightning round this week. So he'll be able to interject, having run the London Marathon himself, and producer Toby's here as well.
Yeah,
so
what's Toby going to be doing? Actually, that's a good point. What's Toby going to be
Toby's going to be pressing the buttons and making us sound one.
Oh, okay. Can he make
sugar in my coffee, Toby?
Tough job. It's a tough gig.
No,
you know, it shouldn't be sniffed at.
Ian, I just interrupt you just to thank everybody, and I mean everybody who commented, liked, sent in emails. We have been inundated, I think is the word. It's like being a tidal wave of questions coming in about the what's it called? About what's it called? What we're doing here? About the London Marathon.
Enough already. He's gone.
I'm going to let the viewers in. Well, the viewers and the podcast listeners into a little secret. So when we do this, right, there is a little chat that we have amongst us, and we can type things in to draw attention to ourselves. And I was too busy reading that and then I forgot what I was actually saying. So there you go. So just.
But this is your London Marathon one-stop shop. We're going to cover pretty much everything, aren't we, mate?
And you're not, and on the podcast you'll be able to see it, but I'm wearing my 40th London Marathon top that I earned from the 40th London Marathon. Actually, I was clearing out my t-shirts the other day. I had about, I reckon I close to 1 million. Can somebody email in longrunshow@gmail.com if you've got more than me race t-shirts, because I reckon I had about 1 million. I gave them to Salvation Army. I bagged them up and gave them to the Salvation Army. Which
what a great idea, because it's always difficult to know what to do with all these ones, isn't it? Because you get so many.
Well, Al makes them into blankets, which is a good idea. Because he's old.
Particularly at the old people's home.
They wheel him around the garden.
I'll sell them on.
Yeah, they wheel him around the garden.
Marketing opportunity.
So that's how they do it there at the old people's home.
So there he is, bless him.
But no, it was funny because I found this in the bottom. So I don't know about you again. When you please email us in at the Long Run Show, because we haven't got live comments or questions this week. But let us know about your t-shirts, because I found this in the drawers. I mean, you can see it's not been you can't because you're listening to the podcast, but it's very creased and stuff like that. So let me know about your t-shirts. Do they take pride of joy, or do you do what I do and
so we're coming from this a little bit of a different perspective this week, because we've all got different London experiences. If I just talk about myself, I've never run the London Marathon. I'm due to do my first marathon a fortnight after this year's London Marathon in Yorkshire. But I actually live about 100 yards from the route. I live about a mile from Greenwich Park and Blackheath, where those lucky enough to have got a place in this year's event will be congregating to head off on their 26 miles. And I live in the area, and I know a little bit about where good places to be might be to meet people, to see, transport links, things like that. So I'm sure there'll be a few inquiries about that. Now, Chris, how many times have you run London?
I think, and I may be wrong, it's 4, I think. I'm going after my 5th medal. I'm not sure. I can't remember, because the virtual stuff it's now skewed, isn't it? So I can't remember exactly. I am terrible. I should have.
But if we talk in this case about, obviously, the experience of running 26.2 miles is going to be the same whatever course you're doing. But if we talk specifically about London, the actual physical course, that would be 3. Then you've done.
I think it's 3. I think it's 3. I can't. Yeah, I think it is. I can't remember.
And you've got a place for this year as well.
I'm looking at my medals, so I'm trying to see if I can see. Anyway, sorry.
And you've got a place for 2021, haven't you?
Yeah, got a place for 2021, so I'll be on the start line in October. I'm super excited to be running it. Tobe's running it as well, which is good news. So I'm going to annoy him for just under.
Is this your first London, Tobe?
Yeah, this will be my
You can't
first.
just nod your head, mate.
I know,
You
I
have to
was on
talk.
mute. I was on mute. I didn't want to make that mistake. Be that guy, you know. But yeah, this would be obviously virtual last year, but this would be the first. This actually obviously virtual last year, then did Dorney, which is a bit.
No,
between,
hang on, stop a minute. No, stop.
I completed
You didn't do Dorney.
I did.
You went
Dorney
into the
did him.
Portaloos, right? And then you went for a little
26.2
jog
kilometres.
around the lake.
But I still completed the mileage. I know you had to send the drone out for me near the ends and check out to the
You
light.
sent the drone out for him. That's true. That is true. We sent the drone out.
Check out still there. You're worried I might have, might not make
Oh.
it to the last bit. But yeah, so I did that. So this will be my first proper experience on a marathon with a crowd, hopefully. Obviously, we don't know what it's going to be like this year in October, but I'm looking forward to it.
I think that'll be interesting, actually, talking about the crowds, because where we did London Landmarks, Ian, and you was there, Al, as well, there was a noticeable decrease, I would say, in the number of spectators. But that said, I think October is still, a couple of months away.
I think as well with the marathon, you get more casual observers.
Yeah,
the majority of people who were at the landmarks would have been supporting people who were competing.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas lots of people will go out to them. Oh, let's go and watch the marathon.
Exactly.
And they weren't there.
Yeah, I think it will. I think it will still be a decrease in normal numbers because of what's going on in the world, and rightly so. And I hope everyone is safe and stays well if they come out and support us. But it will be interesting to see. But I still think that it'll be. We've got the big half as well just before it, so that's usually a gauge in terms of people coming out. So that's quite a large event. So that'll be interesting.
And we've all experienced in the last 18 months or so with the pandemic how quickly things can change in the space of a week or two. Fingers crossed everything will continue on the same momentum as it has for the last couple of months.
Yeah,
it should be as normal as possible. Alan, you looking forward to it, mate? You this year?
I have got a place. I've got a charity place for 2021.
Who are you running for, mate?
It's a charity called Dreams Come True. So they work with very sick kids, try and get them to that the Disney trip, that kind of once in a lifetime experience when they're perhaps facing the worst. So really looking forward to that. But unfortunately, training's not been going so well. I had a bit of a injury, missed 3 weeks, and I'm really on the cusp of deciding whether 2021 is a goer for me. I'll be using the big half as a little bit as a final test to see whether I've got that distance in me, given that I've missed some pretty crucial weeks of long runs. So got it on. I'm there. I've got a bib, but I'm just not sure yet.
Well, we'll wish you well, mate, in doing that.
Absolutely.
It's many people will say, people have said to me, I'm doing my first one this year. They're not in London, but and it's sort of like it's like the lap of honor, doing the race. It's the training and getting through it. That's the real hard work and tough grind then, Chris.
Yeah, getting through the training. It's a real, I've said it before, it's a real test. And I think people, they still underestimate it. I mean, I underestimated it when I trained for my first. You do. You can't. Whatever way you look at it, a marathon is a long way, right? I know we had Ian on recently about talking about ultras, but a marathon is a long way. Running for between, let's say most everyday runners are running between 3.5 hours and 7 or 8 hours, right? It's a long time to be running. It's a mental challenge and a physical one. But the training that you do for those 16, 17 weeks or whatever you're training, it's brutal. I mean, you're going out there 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 times a week, and your body, your immune system, and everything's taking a hit, and it is a real strain. It is tough. It's not easy. It's just, you say that it's the actual race itself is really it's not the hardest point. It sounds silly, but the training, those days where you don't fancy going out. And, and like Toby and I, the other day when we had to do 20 miles, and it was chucking it down. And I mean, chucking it down. Like, we had raincoats on. I had a black bin liner on when I started off, and we were still getting wet. It was insane. But you're still out there. You're still doing 20 miles. And that's what I think people do forget. But yeah, so it will be nice to get to the start line. Especially say we was meant to be doing the virtual one this year, but we switched. We got a charity place late, so it's I'm looking forward to seeing what it's all about. I absolutely love it. I like the whole day, you know, getting up. I usually stay in Tower Bridge because you can jump on the train easy to Greenwich, and then you get yourself up to the park. Take your time, you know, and then get into. I've always been Red Star. I've never been to any of the others, but you take the walk up the hill, up in Greenwich Park, up to where you go through the big arch of the red thing, and there's all on the right hand side, there's all the geezers in the rhino costumes all getting set up and all that kind of stuff. And then you go through underneath the red arch, and then there's all the trucks down the left hand side with all the amazing volunteers who are taking all your bags and stuff. You've got the bandstand up the other end where Collins, big pink dress Collins, usually at. He's up there with, you know, some of the other people. BBC's usually up there. It's always good to go up there if you want to try and say hello to your mum on TV. Go up there by the bandstand. And then you got the men's and women's changing rooms. We met down there last time. Last time we was out, we met there, got changed in there, and then hung out. And then they put on a big screen the start, so you get to see like the wheelchair start. You get to see, you know, the elite runners like I was the other week at London Landmarks. You get to see. So I get to see I got that in there, and you get to see all them go off, and the build up. You start, you know, like if they've got a celebrity start, or like one year we did it, the Queen started us, and all this sort of stuff. You get to it all starts, the vibe starts coming, and you can really start feeling the emotion. Yeah, your anxiety levels start building, and then you get called into your pen, and then you're sitting there. I mean, was it last year, mucking about, you know, warming up. Like, because everyone else was, and then you're just buzzing to get through, and then you're off. And the one thing I would say, right, everyone says, "Oh, London Marathon, it's flat," and it is relatively flat, right? But the first 3 miles, I would describe as undulating. It is. It's not dead flat. Would you agree, Alan?
Yeah, I remember kind of there's a bit just before the two waves meet, where you're kind of really kind of hammering it down, and you're still excited because you're still in that first 5K, and you suddenly have to pull yourself back and go, no, slow down, because there's going to be a long way to go.
I am right. I live right in the middle of where they converge. So I always used to have to try and get across the road twice when I was going into work on marathon day, because it was a complete nightmare, and try to get a day off or work from home. But that's another story. And then I do a lot of my stop miles around that little bit, and you've got to go down the hill to get to along the Woolwich Road and go back before you go back into Greenwich.
Yeah.
Towards the start.
So you get to KFC.
Hill, that.
It is, no. So I just hope he's laughing, because I know all the fast food restaurants all the way along. I did one video one year when I was blogging it. That I was picking out, because there was a KFC, because that wasn't open. Then there was the McDonald's, and then I was like picking them off as I went through. And for me, it's just those sort of mental markers. And actually, it is a tip if you want tips for the London Marathon. We'll get onto that when we get into the comments and questions and stuff like that. But it is to pick it out. Is to know those sort of milestones, aim for different things as you're going along the route. So, like, you know, first thing I always think of is the vicar who's got holy water and spraying you with holy water. It's about 2 miles in, right? And then you converge 3 miles in, KFC. Then you start heading into
Greenwich.
And then you think, right, I've got to get to Cutty Sark, right? Cutty Sark. I see my brother on the left because he comes down, because he drops me off. See my brother on the left, Cutty Sark, turn the corner. Then the next milestone for me, Tower Bridge. Get to Tower Bridge, I'm halfway. You're not a million miles away from it. Right, now I've got to get, this is where it battles, the mind starts battling. I've got to get up in the Millwall, Mud Chute, all that area. And there's a big left turn up there. There's a pub on the corner, and there's a left turn, and you can see Canary Wharf, and you think, oh, this is blinding. I'm nearly at Canary Wharf. It ain't. You've still got like 4 miles or whatever it is.
Yeah. If you're thinking of if folks are thinking like the EastEnders map, it's that loop, that U shape.
And that's tough. Up Mud Chute. And I remember the year I did it, when it was like running the marathon on the surface of the sun. Up round there, where all the buildings just got to, it was like an oven because there was no air. But you turn and you see Canary Wharf, and you think, right, I've only got to get there, because at mile 19 is the Fordy Runs cheer station. So I know that, you know, for me, selfishly, my family's going to be there and all that. So I'm just motivated to get there. And effectively, once you've done that, you exit Canary Wharf and the race starts, because I then think, right, I've got to get to Embankment, see the London Eye, Big Ben, turn for Westminster. If you can realise, as I'm talking, I know the route, because I know the points in which I've got to get through to get across the line. And that's how is my number one tip, is to break the race down. I've just gone through it, how I break the race down. And if you look at that on the map, that's basically I've broken it down to 3, 4, 5 mile sections. So that's how I'm working.
And when you're in Canary Wharf, don't be surprised if the wind picks up, and because it can really rattle through there, through the big buildings and that.
And Ian, as you come into Canary Wharf, there's actually, and I always have walked it, because by then my brain is, every time I've done it, my brain's like mush. I've never really run a London Marathon that I'm happy with, but you go up and it feels out. Do you know the hill I mean, into Canary Wharf? To get up actually into the bit where all like the big like Barclays and HSBC, and it
used to be a McDonald's on that corner, but they closed it, mate.
No, there is a McDonald's down as you exit, by the way. I'll just point that out. Just shows you I still know where I'm at. But there is like a little, if you walked it normally, right, you would think it was just a small little hill. But when you're at it's like miles 18, I think it is, and you're going up into Canary Wharf, it feels like brutal. It ain't, but it feels like it, and it just shows
your brain's a mush, and then you turn into Canary Wharf, and your GPS gets screwed as well. And then
your GPS is screwed in Canary Wharf. Just be prepared. But the noise from the people as you run, because of the buildings are closed, it is epic. And then you leave it, and it's actually quite lonely when you leave Canary Wharf, because you get all that noise, and then it gets quite quiet, and then you get the tunnel sections on the way back. That if you're running big half, you get them on the way out, and they're quite lonely places to be. Because again, you're coming into mile 20 territory, and that's when things start weird happening in your brain,
because you've got a very quiet period while you're going around the Isle of Dogs so you've got Canary Wharf in the middle, which is a load of noise, and then you've got a real quiet period before you get around there, and a real quiet one afterwards.
And then mile 22 is when you get to mile 22, you're going down. If you've done landmark, Ian, you know that hill up, that's mile, Tower Hill is mile 22, 23. Once you're there, you're basically just, you
roll on.
Yeah, you're 5K left. It still feels forever that you've got to get, and you see the London Eye on your left and end up to Big Ben. It feels forever. But if you can get to that Tower Hill, Tower Bridge area, honestly, you're there. So that's where you got to start really believing in yourselves.
So there you go, folks. That's the course. Without getting to the euphoria of finishing, that's pretty much, pretty good synopsis of what's in store for you if you've got a place. Now, Chris, what sort of questions have people been asking us? What would they like to know?
We've had loads. We get the usual ones. We get the where's the toilets, and there's plenty of toilets, people. There's toilets all along the course, right? So don't worry about that. If you're Tobin, you need to go about 8 times. There's plenty of portaloos. There's about 1 million portaloos in the.
Paula couldn't find one.
Yeah, it's true. But there is 1 million portaloos in the pens at the start, in the race village things, and there's loads along the streets. So if you're worrying about the toilets, I think you should be worried about other things than the toilets. But it's a natural thing to worry about. We've seen them. We've seen the fueling ones. I think people are always worried about fueling. Well, hopefully you've got your fueling strategies set before you go and do the race, people.
Do you know what they've got, Chris? What they serve there is Lucozade and what's the fuel?
We've had. I've been there, and it's been Lucozade Sport every time. The gels, it's been a mixture. One year they had like this stuff that was just minging, and some other bits, but they changed it not too much. I think it's all. Has it been not High Five? It might have even been Lucozade Sport, but whoever it was, they were giving out. But Lucozade Sport was always available. Now that stuff's like liquid, like nitrogen, I think, for a runner. It's just neat sugar. It's brilliant stuff. But if you're not used to having it, obviously it can cause you problems. So just be aware. I'm now going to start, Tobe, and this is a note to you. I'm going to start taking that out on my runs because I'm doing London physical. I've got to get used to taking it because it will be out on the street. So it's a good top up to have for me. So you've got, again, it's that getting your body used to it. But there's so much water. I'm not saying there's so much water. That year I talked about when it was like the world's hottest marathon, they ran out of water when we got up to Millwall. It was murder, absolute murder. I didn't have any water for like 3 miles. It was terrible, but that wasn't their fault. But there'll be plenty of water. There's stuff out on the course you can take, but obviously hopefully you should have all your strategies in place to before you go out. You should know your fueling. You should know when you're going to be taking a gel, whether it be 45 minutes, 60 minutes. I mean, whatever it is. I mean, Al, what's your fueling strategy? When do you take stuff on?
It tends to be every 45 minutes. If I'm honest, you get so engrossed in the race and everything that's going on. It's kind of like sometimes you have to set a watch reminder to kind of give you a nudge.
That's
Certainly when I did it in 2019, there were points where I kind of realised I'd gone 50, 55. I think the longest was an hour. And I probably paid for that a little bit. So you can't overestimate just kind of... And again, if you can think about that in relation to what you said, those key milestones at the race, there's probably that visual prompt. So you're not, your mushy brain isn't trying to work out, where am I? Should I be taking one? You go, I'm at Tower Bridge, I'm taking one. That would be a piece of advice. If you can align that, it just takes some of the effort away. The other thing I found is I probably overhydrated. And by the time I got to the embankment, I was just sick of drinking. I'd kind of just taken water at every opportunity, and it was too much. It was just so much sloshing around. So you'll be used to it, Toe, because you're carrying all that water, and Chris will be, experiencing for you. For me, that was a real no-no. So I'm not going to be making that mistake again.
Yeah, it's a funny one. The drinking. You're right. Everyone sees. Just to give you a heads up, people who's listening to this, just because there's a water station doesn't mean you have to take water. Drink to thirst. Drink to, hydrate. Make sure you're hydrated. But they're every mile. But you don't have to take something. I mean, if you want to, take a little sip and go. It's important that you drink to thirst and you stay hydrated. I'm not telling you not to drink. Please drink, right? But don't do what Alan's done and you've gone the complete opposite and have too much. Just practice. Do whatever you've done in your long runs. Don't, just because it's race day, go out and do something different. Why would you? It just makes no sense. Stick to your strategy, hydrate and fuel as you have done in your runs. If you're worried about carrying your gels, get yourself a flip belt or a naked belt or, whatever, one of those sort of belts, or get the ones, don't get the shorts Toby's got because his gels go all over his pants basically every time he runs. But you can get those shorts that you can put your gels in. But carry something that you can put your gels in, because you'll have water and hydration out on the course that you can take to wash them down. So, or if you're taking, we're talking about gels, people, but some people can't tolerate them. So if you've got natural food, a flip belt's brilliant at something like that, because you can roll it up and put it in there. That's other ways of carrying, your food. And I mean, I take my phone with me because I like to listen to the Long Run podcast as I go around doing my marathons. Do you see I've got the plug in, boys? But yeah, actually, and that's another tip. I don't know whether we best get onto these questions, but me personally, at London, I've never ran it with music. I've had my headphones there for those dark moments, because you will get them and get ready for them. And, I've had the ability, that sort of comfort blanket around my neck to be able to put my earphones on, but I've never put them on because the noise from the crowd, them shouting your names. I was, I can't remember which year. I blew up one year. My hamstring went and I was really struggling. And I was walking along embankment and someone shouted from the other side of the track, other side of the course, "Go on, Fordy, get going." Right. And I don't know who it was, but somebody shouted out. And if I had my earphones on, I never would have heard that. So they shouted from the other side of the road, "Go on, Fordy, get going." And I picked myself up and I then ran to the finish, even though I'd done my hamstring. So that's the sort of thing you miss. And people shouting out your name, strangers shouting out your name. To make sure you put your name on your vest. It's a really, really important tip to get your name as bold and bright. Obviously, you've got your charity vest on if you're running for charity. Make sure that's prominent, raise awareness for the charity. But make it as big as you can, your name, what you want shouted at you, because people will shout your name at you. And at mile 20, 21, 22, people shouting your name and telling you to get going can be the difference between, you walking the rest of the course and you picking up your feet and putting one in front of the other. So, yeah. So, Yeah. So actually, I tell you what, let's get into, because we've had so many in. Let's get into some of these questions. Huh?
Okay then. I'll start. We've got. What do we know about this year's? What will be different about this year's event? We've sort of touched on that a bit, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we spoke about that. I assume that it will go along the same lines as the big half, London landmarks, and that kind of stuff. I think.
Yeah.
In terms
now,
of
our good friend Mel Howes, who's been a guest on the podcast as well, she says, "What are the best ways to meet up with family and friends afterwards?" What's your experience of that?
Yeah, top tip there. Now, I always meet my brother at the same point. Here's a really good tip for everybody. Pick a letter like X, Y, or Z to meet at, because most people's surnames don't begin with X, Y, or Z. That's the top tip for you. So just because, I think how popular Smith is as a surname, or Bowley as a surname, it's really, really, really popular.
Common.
So pick yourself a letter like, I don't know, K, that not many people would meet at if you're going to meet at the letters. The other thing is, if you're up there the day before, because a lot of people travel down and stay the weekend, go and find somewhere along the Mall or somewhere around Trafalgar Square that you will meet and agree a place afterwards away from the finish. So my brother and I, we always meet. There's a statue at the end of the mall, Pall Mall, wherever it is. I can't remember what the name of the road is, but I know the statue. And and I took a picture of it one year. I was up there and I said, right, we're going to meet there. And every year we've met there. One year I was like laying down because I had enough. But we always meet at the same point. So if you're up there for the weekend, pick a point in which and you agree to meet away from the finish. Or, like I said, if you've got people coming in, you won't get a phone signal, by the way, but agree to reach at a letter that's not popular. But all I would say, it's really hard to find people even at those letters, because we all look the same. To people who don't know us, to people who know us, even that, you're still going to look the same, because we've all got race vests on, and we've all got medals around ourselves, and it's very hard to pick people out. So the best advice, apart from picking a letter that doesn't, is find a predetermined place, take a picture of it on your phone, and agree to meet there, but away from the finish.
There are, the finish in the Mall, if you get to the Mall, within a 5-minute walk of the Mall, you can be in some real sort of like little nooks and crannies and places where there's not many people about. I mean, we went to the landmarks and found a pub right off the beaten track. There was no one in there. It was about 5 minutes, 10 minutes walk from the finish. There are lots of, if you're going up early, which I would assume many of you will be making a weekend of it on Saturday without trooping around the whole town. Don't go looking at Nelson's column and go around the National Gallery and go for a day out and all that sort of thing. But try and find a convenient place, a pub or something like that, or a landmark that you can meet people out there. Isn't going to be particularly busy, within about a 10-minute walk of the finish.
Yeah, I would get away from the Mall as quick as you can. Once you finish, right, get out of Dodge, because it's super busy and you won't get it. So just keep walking. It's good for your legs anyway. Go and find a place away from it. Green Park, I just mentioned Starbucks. There's a Starbucks on Vigo Street, just off Regent Street. That's a quiet place. Savile Row's a quiet place. Anywhere around there, get away from the Mall. Green Park, that sort of heading towards, the Ritz, that kind of way. There's some toilets and stuff like that. Just get away from the scene of the crime.
You probably will have to walk, because there's no real immediate tube stations or anything like that. And even if there are, they might be shut anyway.
No, I wouldn't even try and attempt. I think, one year I walked to Holborn. I've gone up to other places. So yeah, you just want to get away from the finish as quick as you can. And my advice is really, I mean, I don't send for spectators, maybe a tip. I don't send my wife and kids to pick me up. I send them home, because it's just absolute pandemonium. I meet them at home. My brother comes and meets me. But if you haven't got you've got a sibling or someone to come and meet you, or someone else to come and meet you, then try and, another runner or whatever, go and get yourself home. It's a great atmosphere, but at the same time, it's super, super busy, and it can take a while. And especially, I think, with this year, with the restrictions and everything, it's probably worth just getting home, getting out of there as quick as you can. Right. So what we got next?
And well, I mean, a bit of a link to this sort of thing is that Sue Landers asked, "Where's the best place for people to watch for spectating?"
Canary Wharf. I would say Greenwich, down at Greenwich is good. Not Cutty Sark, but before that, I would go there
Along the main road.
Yeah, and then I would probably get over to Canary Wharf because that's quite easy to do DLR that straight over.
Yes.
Canary Wharf is usually a pretty quiet place, and it's a good place to pick your runners up because 18, 90 miles, we're all struggling. So it's a real lift if you can see them around there. And there's it sounds funny, but there's loads of toilets, places to eat around in Canary Wharf. So it's a really good place. People don't go there because it is a pain in the bum to get to. But if you come from Greenwich, you can jump on the DLR and straight over there. So, in the opening half
of the marathon, for a spectator's point of view, the DLR is your best friend because you can, if you're seeing people at the start at Blackheath, you can literally walk down the hill and you will be at Cutty Sark, which is obviously going to is one of the most busiest places, but you can walk down the roads in either direction from there and get a bit of space, and you'll still only be, within half a mile of a DLR station. And then the DLR station, there's Cutty Sark for Maritime Greenwich or Greenwich Station. They both serve Canary Wharf. And then when you're at Canary Wharf, if you want to get to the Tower or get down that way, then you can get a DLR from Canary Wharf to Tower Gateway, which is next door to Tower Hill, which will get you on either the Circle or District line. Hopefully they'll be running because they weren't running the other day.
No,
so check your tube stations, because I got off the train at Cannon Street and then had to walk to Bank because the tube service wasn't going to. So please keep an eye on your tube stations, because they will shut them. They won't care.
No,
so
they don't.
Keep an eye on that. And
right, what else have we got in?
That's the roads you're going to be. So your Circle line, District line, your DLR, they are going to be your key public transport networks. But of course, it's marathon day. They'll get very, very busy. So allow yourself plenty of time. What else you got there, mate?
I've got to give a shout out to Mandy Wilson, one of the emails. She's got a ballot place. Wow. She's done Couch to 5K. She's doing the marathon training, Chris Evans, Martin Yelling book, apparently. She's just saying that she's looking forward to it. So big shout out to Mandy.
Good luck, Mandy.
What have we got here? Some Christopher London Marathon. I tried. Wondering where would you run on the Saturday for a 3-mile run? I'm coming down from the northeast on Friday. I'm stopping at Trafalgar Square. How good, effective is the bag drop? The bag drop is amazing, right? The bag drop is incredible at the London Marathon. And what you'll find is they know you as you come up to get it. They've already got your bag for you, because you're in another world, right? You're probably crying, dribbling, trying to get a cell phone, a mobile signal, which you won't get, by the way, and you don't know what day it is. And as you're walking up doing all this, the amazing volunteers in the big trucks, I've already spotted your number and I've already got your bag. So don't worry about your bag and the bag drop and all that kind of stuff. That's one of the best bits and the easiest bits. In terms of a 3-mile run on the Saturday, there is, Alan, you probably know this. There's a park run in around, where is it in London? It's is it Olympia? Around that? No, not Olympia.
I don't know. Being a London, I've never run it.
Where is it?
I've always stayed local to where I am.
I've seen people who have said that if people fancy doing a park run and they're staying in the Tower Bridge area, then you can get the DLR to Shadwell and then the overground to what's it called? It's the Southwark Canada Water, and next door to Canada Water Station is Southwark Park Run.
That's it. That's the one I'm thinking of. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. So if you're looking to do a 3-mile run on Saturday, go to do a park run. We'll jump on
because there's no park runs in the actual royal parks in London, and be warned that a lot of them, like the Greenwich Park Run, is nowhere near Greenwich, and they're well out of they're named by the borough rather than their immediate proximity to tube stations and things like that.
Yeah, I went. Well, you could even jump on a train, come out to Hertfordshire, get off at Broxbourne, and do Bartley Park.
Yeah, Mile End. There's a good park run at Mile End as well, which is on the DLR. It's a 10-minute walk from Limehouse Station.
Yeah, so there you go. So hopefully that helps. Right, Ian, what else have we got off the Facebook?
Well, we've got quite a lot of questions about sort of like the aftermath of what's the best way to recover? What should they do? Sort of like in a couple of days up to a week afterwards. If you just bear with me.
Okay.
Yeah, Linda White,
Now,
she said, my training plan finishes with the marathon. Would welcome some advice on what to do the following week instead of in terms of running. What should she do?
Now,
in case we're a bit warm down.
I'm going to throw this over to Alan, right? And then I'll come back on it because Alan, Hansen plan, they say about, is it taking, now I'm going to get this wrong, 4 weeks off or something?
What the Hansen plan recommends that you should be recovering 1 day for every mile you've run. So yeah, 26 miles is about 4 weeks of any intense running. Obviously, none of us do that, but that's what the plan says. So probably get out on the Monday and do the 5K recovery run if you can get down the stairs. Would be my advice.
Yeah, go down those stairs backwards, people. Yeah,
get the recovery flip flops on straight away. That was a godsend when I did mine in 2019, and start working from there.
It's a top tip, actually, right, people? Get yourself down Primark, not sponsored, right? Get yourself a pair of flip flops. Don't worry about these expensive UFOs. Don't worry about these expensive Aussie sales. Sack them all off, right? Because they ain't worth nothing compared to a £3 pair of flip flops from Aldi, Primark, whatever you can get your hands on. Get a pair, put them in your bag. Right, I've done a video on what to pack in your bag for London Marathon. Check it out. It's on YouTube. It's a really old video. I might even do a new one this year. But put a pair of flip-flops in because the minute you take those socks off your feet, right, and you put those flip-flops on that you've purchased for $3.99, you will feel like you've just won the thing. Trust me, right? It is unbelievable. And as Alan knows from his middle aisle shopping trips, you can get some bargains in Aldi and Lidl.
Absolutely.
$3.99, people. Honestly, it is such a good tip. Even if it's hammering it down, get those flip-flops. You chuck them away, right? When you get home, chuck them away because you're going to be walking through the tube and whatever. That's why I won't waste the money on those UFOs and all that too. Put them on if you want to spend that
Let's
sort of money.
blown them as a sponsor of the Long Run podcast for future, but never mind.
This is another question going on with this. It's sort of like, what should people pack in their post-race bag then, apart from their flip-flops?
Watch the video. I've done a video on this, right? On I think I've done a couple on what to pack in your bag. But first thing that goes in is a bottle. I'm talking a bottle. You know, like the what are they, 350 millimeters? I don't know, 250 millimeters of Coca-Cola. Don't matter if you drink it or not. Full fat Coca-Cola is the first thing that goes in that bag. The red ambulance. Stick that in there. I'll never forget. The captain was rotten after one of the marathons we did. He went into St. John's ambulance. She went, there you go, mate. Get your laughing gear around that. About 5 minutes later, he was back to his old self. So it is the best thing. Then you put your flip-flops in. Then you probably want to put something in that you're probably going to want as a sort of some form of post-race snack. Now, the bag they give you will be full of right? Leaflets that you just bin. So thanks, London Marathon, for being it. What is it? Environmentally friendly, and then giving you like 3 tons of leaflets that you throw in the bin. So that's absolute nonsense what they're talking about. But in there will be some crisps that will taste like really, really dry. One year they gave you some chili things in there, which whatever, and they give you those nut bars. Have you ever had them nut bars after a race? And they're like eating sand. So they give you one of them as well. So put something in. My point is, I've obviously gone off and started moaning about everybody, but if you put something in that you know that you want after race, a lot of people like salt and vinegar crisps because of the salt and because of the vinegar. See what I did there? But put something in that you know that you crave after your, because you probably won't feel like anything to eat. But it is important to get something, even if it is absolute rubbish that you're putting into your body. Obviously, a banana would be good, but you don't want a banana sitting on a lorry for 4 or 5 hours while it's being carted about London. They're the sort of things, I would put. I always like to put this is not a paid effort. I always like to put a fresh pair of underwear in so I can get changed because it's you're sweating all minging and that lot. You've got obviously your t-shirt, your fresh t-shirt to put on. But people don't think about it.
Wipes, towel, stick all that in.
Yeah. So all that baby wipes, wet wipes, number one important thing, stick them in so you can wipe down under your arms, some deodorants because you're going to stink, right? And get all that in there. A pair of sunglasses because you probably would have cried so your eyes are all going to be puffy. And probably one of those portable phone chargers because I'm guessing that you would have zapped a load of your battery before the race. Then you'll be panicking throughout the race that you've got no battery. And when you finish, you won't have any battery. So get a little phone charger in there. Just coming back, Ian, sorry, on the point about recovery.
Yeah.
I would say personally, I like to go out and do a recovery run, right? It's never pretty, but I do like to. And I spend the week doing minimal mileage, minimal effort, but I do like to get out and get my legs moving. But don't forget, I run 6 times a week. We do the clubs and all that sort of stuff. And then I'm going to be rolling out of the London Marathon. I've got half marathon the week after, and I'm running up a mountain. So it's a little bit different for me. So what I would advise everybody is listen to your body, right? See how you feel. But take, if you want to take a day or 2 off or a week off, you've earned it. So don't beat yourself up. If you want to sit about and do nothing, then do nothing. I personally would really recommend active recovery. It's the best way of getting that out of your legs is active recovery. So long walks and stuff like get in the pool if you fancy doing a nice casual, swim, maybe a bit of yoga or something like that, a bit of stretching and that kind of thing. So active recovery is what I would recommend more than anything else. But I wouldn't. You're going to be damaging your muscles. You're going to be ripping them to pieces by doing that. So just take care of yourself, get plenty of protein, and just look after yourself because your immune system takes a really big hit. So make sure you are eating properly not straight after the event, because you probably want to do what I do and smash the life out of a McDonald's or Papa John's. But after that, just take care of yourself and make sure you're getting plenty of protein, getting all the good stuff to help your body repair from it, and drink light.
It's a good point, Chris, isn't it? The post-marathon cold is a real thing.
Yes,
so
it is.
Expect to go down with a sniffles.
I remember one year I was rotten. I felt like I had flu. I was rotten. I really didn't look after myself first couple of days afterwards in terms of the right stuff of getting, the nutrients and everything that I needed. And I came down with it and I felt, and it was about a 4 or 5 day delay. And then I was done. So it is, like Anna said, it is a real thing. So yeah, just be careful. We got anything else, Ian? I'm conscious of time, so make sure we get some more.
Yeah, we're just. We ought to talk. We have touched upon nutrition and things like that, but a lot of talk about the wall and concerns about reaching that point where Liz Yule, she said, "How can I overcome the near to end shutdown? It doesn't matter what event I'm doing. I know I'm near the end. My body says no more, and I hit the wall. I always manage to finish, but I never finish strong. Help."
Okay, that's pacing. Probably that's race strategy, race craft. That's also most importantly, probably hydration and fueling. She's probably got her fueling and hydration wrong. I'm not saying I know that for sure, but that's usually a fair sign of that you've not fueled your race correctly, but also your pacing and your strategy. You want to make sure that you're running a smart race. I always say that, and I think I said it last week, didn't I, boys, that I like to get to halfway in one piece, know where I'm at, and then the race starts. So, and then try and go about my business from there. But it's different. Sorry, and yeah, it's on the. But I would say for anybody in terms of the wall, it's funny. I was talking to someone who's done the marathon. He's done it, I think, he might have even done it in under 3 hours, right? And he was saying that all the wall is it's a mental wall. It's nothing. There's nothing else than it's mental, and it can come at 13 miles. It can come at 3 miles. It can come at 20 miles. It can come anywhere. Yes, there is that natural body thing of the glycogen levels and all that kind of stuff, and you've got to fuel and you've got to top up and what you're doing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's scientifically proven, and you can't mess around with that sort of stuff. You've got to make sure you're fueled and all that sort of thing. But a lot of this thing about the wall is about up in your head. I actually physically hit the wall. I was doing a training run and I forgot to fuel, and I got to 16 miles and I had that feeling of hitting the wall. I came over lightheaded. I felt really sick and I didn't feel great at all. And I was up in somewhere, I can't remember where it was. And I basically got enough sugar back into my system, and then I got myself home because I just totally forgot to fuel. This was back, when I was first training out for marathons. But a lot of it, in terms of actually the wall and finishing strong, is your mental capacity, I think. And I think he's right in what he says. It really does come down to, yeah, obviously your brain works better if it's fueled and it's hydrated and it's got everything that it needs to run more efficiently. But there is always that. But finishing strong is so hard in a marathon. But I think if you get your pacing and your race goes to plan and you get your strategy right, whether that be run hard for the first half and then coast on the way back, or even split it, or look to negative split it, whatever way you're going to do that marathon that you have practiced in your training, then if that's the way to finish strong, is to have the right race strategy, which includes your hydration and your fueling. Hopefully that answers that. Right, we've got one more and then we better call it a day.
Have you got any more? Because I think we're about...
You're all done?
We just want to sort of wish everybody all the best of luck and hope they enjoy their London Marathon experience. I mean, Chris, I'd imagine that would be the one piece of advice that you're giving, just to get out there and enjoy it.
It's the biggest piece of advice I can give anybody, really, I think, is personally for London Marathon, I would not worry about times. I would not worry about, anything, how many toilets there are and all that sort of stuff. I wouldn't worry about anything. I go to the London Marathon to have a good time. I will go there. I will chat to people as I'm running around. I'll high five people. I'll talk to anyone. I'll stop. And I couldn't give a monkeys. I remember the captain was jumping up and down as we went over Tower Bridge. You've got to enjoy it, right? You get one chance on this planet, right? And if you're lucky enough to run the London Marathon, just go and have fun. Just enjoy it. You can run your times. If you want to run a time, go and enter the Dorney Lake Marathon, right? And go and smash a PB. Go to London Marathon, take in the atmosphere, and just have fun. And smile when you cross that line. You will cry, but smile after you've cried and get that medal. Let that person, I don't know if they'll put it around your neck actually this year, they probably won't. But just enjoy the moment that you've accomplished something like so amazing that you've finished the London Marathon. And you will finish. There's I don't know what the percentage is, but it's so high on the number of finishes. Everybody thinks, oh, I've done enough training. Oh, I've not done enough this. There's no way I can get round there. I can't run it. I can't even run 5K. And you'll get round. You'll get round 100%. But you'll do it if you've got the right mindset. And the right mindset, I believe, is to go there, to have a good time, to soak up the atmosphere and just have the best day of your life. That's the way you've got to run the marathon. And if you're running for a purpose, be it a charity or in memory of someone, think about them in them dark hours. Have a mantra, right? While you're out there, I was talking to a sports psychologist I was lucky enough to meet the experts. I went behind and spoke to all the people who were presenting. I was lucky enough. Colin got me back there. And I was talking to the sports psychologist and she said, mantra, have yourself a mantra as you're going around. She said, it can work wonders in those dark hours, whether that be, I'm doing this for Gary, or I am awesome, or I've just got to get to the next aid station, whatever it is, whatever you're
That's a good thing to think of, isn't it? Now we've got lots of things that you can do your training that you can't change, lots that
write it on your hand.
Do that.
Yeah, write it on your hand, put it, get it sewn onto a sweat thing, whatever, that you can just remind yourself when you're in that moment. But the biggest thing I do is smile and chat to people. When you're really having those struggles in the London Marathon, it's the best place. If you're struggling, it's the best place to struggle, because there's somebody probably next to you who's in the same place. Have a chat with them. You all right, mate? How you doing? Yeah, not bad. Well, and immediately you're in a different place. But yeah, just smile, enjoy it, people. Have the best time. And just think of yourself how lucky you are to be doing it.
I think that's a brilliant way to end this London Marathon special. Thanks for that, Chris. Thanks to Toby and Alan to being with us. We'll be back to normal next week. So we'd love your comments and your questions. Feel free to email us at longrunshow@gmail.com. You can pick us up live on YouTube, usually on 7 o'clock on a Friday night. And you can also download the Long Run podcast on Spotify, Yahoo, and Google, and all the usual podcast operatives. So thank you very much, gentlemen, and we shall see you next week. Please let us know how your training's going. drop us a line, stay in touch with the Fordy Runs Facebook community, and we will see you next week. Best of luck to everybody.
Bye, everyone. Take care.